Díodit agus fáilte arás go Gaeilge má thrí. Hello and welcome back to Irish in My Heart, my YouTube channel which I have created to help you learn Irish. You might notice a little bit of a distraction. I've got my Apple earphones plugged into my phone to use the microphone. It looks a little bit weird, I know, coming out of my jumper. I tried holding it, but I feel like I'd moved too much and that would just mess up what I was trying to achieve, which is better audio. It looks a little bit amateur, but you know, I'm trying to better myself on a budget, so cut me some slack. The topic of today's video, which you would have seen from the title, is Lenition. That is also known as SÉIMHÍÚ in Irish. I'm going to have the definition of Lenition.
Definition of Lenition.
On the screen. It's changes made to certain words to help palatalize the language, as they put it. And by that, palatalize basically means to make it flow better. SÉIMHÍÚ comes from the word soft in Irish. The purpose of Lenition in Irish is to soften the language. It's to make it flow better. And how do we do that? So you may have seen a word, for example, the word bag, M-A-F-A-L-A. And you might have also then seen the same word with a H after the first letter. And you're wondering,
is that the same word or is it different? Why is there a H there? How do I pronounce that?
I'm gonna help you. That is what I'm here for today. Yes, it changes the pronunciation of the word. When you see a H after the first letter, you don't pronounce it like just adding in the sound of a H. So for example, mala, and then add the H after the first letter, wala. So it's not mahala, it's wala. I'm going to give you an example of how it makes the language flow better. It makes sentences softer and easier to pronounce, because you might like not fully agree with it right now.
Thinking it would be much easier if there weren't no H's stuck in random places.
So I'm going to give you an example of a sentence which should have lenition on the word jarher, which means brother. I'm going to say the sentence without lenition on jarher, and I'm going to say it with lenition. And I'm going to explain how pronunciation becomes a little bit easier. The sentence I'm going to say is, Finn is the name of my brother, which is true. Shout out to Finn, because I know you're watching this, my #1 supporter. Finn is anim da ma jarher. So that's without lenition. Finn is anim da ma jarher. With lenition, Finn is anim da ma jarher. Notice how with jarher, I go from ma, open mouth, ah, and then I've got to bring my teeth together to do the J sound that D-E gets. Ma jarher. Whereas when I have the H on jarher, it goes smoother. It flows from ma into yarher. Ma yarher. Because when you say Y, when you pronounce Y, you kind of keep your mouth open. So ma yarher. It only makes a slight difference, but it contributes heavily to the way that Irish sounds, that beautiful sound that it has with the flow, where people sound like they're never taking a break, never taking a full stop, because it just goes from sentence to sentence. So getting down to business then, I'm going to show you today what letters pick up lenition and how they change pronunciation with it. The letters that take a H in Irish, there's not that many actually. If you would have watched my last video about the Irish alphabet, you'd know what letters are in the Irish alphabet. Go check that out, I recommend it. I'll have it linked up here. So there are 9 letters that take lenition in Irish. Those letters are as follows: B, C, D, F, G, M, S, P, and T. Now I'm going to show you how these letters are pronounced when they are lenited. Basically, when you see a H after these letters, how you pronounce them, I'ma tell you. So first up we have B. The word I'm going to use to show how it changes when it undergoes lenition is the verb bual, which means to hit or ring. Changes then from bual to wool when there's a H added after the B. When BH is followed by a broad vowel such as U, A, or O, it's pronounced like a W. So I just gave you an example of that. Wool. So U is the broad vowel there. When followed by a consonant or a narrow or slender vowel, which is I or E, it's pronounced like a V. For example, brish, the verb for break. When you put a H after the B, SÉIMHÍÚ, it changes to vrish. CH is a little bit difficult for some people, I know. You have to make the sound with your throat. So it's kind of like a K in your throat. It's the best way I can think of. I'm going to give you the example of the verb creithni, which means to finish or complete. When we add a H after C, that sounds like creithni, creithni. So I know that's hard for a lot of people, but it's kind of, I don't know how exactly I do it, but I think of like a K sound and then try to make it my throat. Sounds incredibly weird. D plus H, I'm going to use the example of the verb douche, which means to wake up. So on its own, without SÉIMHÍÚ, it's douche. And then with the H, it's rushi. It's like a G in your throat. Again, throat noises, so rushi. So don't mind if you can't really do that and you just say it like a G, gooshi. You know, people are still going to understand what you mean. So don't get too worried if you can't make these sounds or pronounce them perfectly. People, when they speak in a different language, they don't pronounce everything perfectly, but speakers of the language still understand them. F plus H is the best because it's just silent. For example, fuinneog, which is the word for window, and you have to add a H after the F. You just pretend like the F and H aren't there. It's just inneog. Another example, folum, to learn, with SÉIMHÍÚ. Olum, it's just silent, which is nice and easy. G with a H is very much like D with the H. It's that back of your throat noise, so r. So I'm going to use gi, which means to pray. So ri, ri, when it has the H. It's a little bit like a gargle, if that makes sense to you. M with a H is easy enough to remember because it's just like B. So it's pronounced like a W when it's followed by a broad vowel. Word bag, mala, and then with a H, it's wala, wala. And then when it's followed by a slender vowel, like I or E, it's pronounced like a V. So, for example, mini, which means to explain. When it has SÉIMHÍÚ, it's vini. S plus H is pronounced like h, h. So it's kind of like how you would pronounce a H. So, for example, shrei, which means to arrive. Hrei is with the SÉIMHÍÚ, arrived. S only takes a SÉIMHÍÚ when it is followed by a vowel or by the letters N, L, or OR. But there is an exception to that, and I'm not going to go into too much detail about that in this video because it's hard to explain, and I want to keep this video mostly about pronunciation of letters when they have SÉIMHÍÚ. Check out the Duolingo form that I have linked down below, which will help you to understand a little bit more detail about that. P plus H is pronounced like F, so that's handy because it's the same in English, like the word phonetics. That starts with PH and it's pronounced like F. The word I'm going to use, for example, in Irish is prab, which means blink. Add the H, it's frab. And last but not least, we have the letter T. It's pronounced like H-Y. Hye. The word cha, house. When you add SÉIMHÍÚ, it's hya. So that is all the letters that pick up Lenition and how they are pronounced when they do so. And now I'm going to briefly tell you the 7 situations in which you need to use Lenition. This is something I encourage you not to worry about right now because honestly, I didn't learn this growing up. I learned from recognizing or being told as I went along, okay, this word picks up lenition because of the possessive adjective before it, my, in Irish, ma. So I learned as I went on, and I recognized myself, and I was kind of able then to know when a word picked up lenition, and I could kind of tell why, if I was reading, the word had picked up lenition. So don't get too hung up on knowing exactly when to use the SÉIMHÍÚ and never forgetting, because even I forget sometimes too. I have a Duolingo forum linked below about lenition, which has more details. I'm just going to tell you the 7 situations, and then that goes into a bit of explaining about each. It's really good. It helped me to understand it more as well. Lenition happens after possessive adjectives, after my or your in Irish. Feminine adjectives are affected by lenition. Feminine nouns as well. Numbers affect the following noun with lenition. For example, 3 windows, 3 injog. This only happens after the numbers 1 to 6. Lenition also happens in the vocative case when you're speaking to someone directly. After prepositions such as with or for. And then finally, other words that pick up lenition. Words that come after nura, so when. That's what nura means. After the prefixes raw, which means too, so too hot, raw he. After an, which means very, so very good, an why. And after the word ma, which means if. Unless the following word is ta or jer, then that does not pick up lenition. But apart from that, if the letter does pick up lenition, it will. Lenition is difficult to understand. Nobody's perfect. I'm definitely not perfect. I definitely know that I have not been sure in some situations.
Don't worry, girl or boy. You got this, okay?
So that is all I have in this video about SÉIMHÍÚ / lenition. I really hope you enjoyed. Now I have something exciting to announce. This is a giveaway. Yes, you heard me. I'm doing a giveaway. Varying in Irish. This giveaway though was intended for when I hit 3,000 subscribers, but I haven't been on my uploading recording game because life's just been a little bit hectic for me. Apologies for that. I did a giveaway on my Instagram, and I'm giving away the same thing here on YouTube, but when I decided to do it, I was at 3,000 subscribers, and now when I'm actually sitting down to tell you about it, we're already at 4,000 subscribers. That happened in such a short space of time. Such a short space of time, like a few weeks. Honestly, every day, because I look at your comments every day, I'm sorry if I don't get around to replying to everybody, because my channel is growing more and more, so it's harder to keep up, and I'm back at work, and honestly, I can't believe it every day when I see the numbers going up, and all the views, the likes, the comments. I'm so glad that you're enjoying my content and that you are learning Irish. Most of all, thank you for learning Irish, and thank you for choosing me to help you. So as a way to give back and thank you so much for all your support, I wanted to do a small giveaway. I will be giving away a Wacky Woolies Ireland mug. I love saying that with a serious face. A Wacky Woolies Ireland mug. Butler's chocolates, which are fancy Irish chocolates, if you didn't know. And a box of Leon's tea. So this is an Irish tea brand. And the reason why I'm throwing this in here, because I think it kind of works with, chocolates and a mug. I suppose in a way it would be pretty boring if you won this and you're from Ireland. But I was kind of thinking of, I guess, when I picked out this prize, I was thinking of somebody winning it who's not from Ireland, because anytime I go away, I really miss Irish tea. Not to have a bias or anything, but I think it's the best. Especially when I went to America and there was Lipton.
Tea
Was like kind of the main option, it seemed like. I'm still traumatized. I'm giving away a box of Leon's tea for you to try. I recommend trying it the way I do, with a bit of milk, cow's milk. Well, you can use other milk if you want to, but this is the way I have it. Cow's milk and a little bit of sugar. Not everybody has it with sugar. In fact, most people I know don't, but I don't know how, because it makes it. In order to enter the giveaway, first of all, you must be subscribed to my channel. You must like this video, comment down below when you've started learning Irish. It could be literally today when you're watching this video, or years ago, I don't care, and how you're finding the language. And then you also must be following my Instagram, Gaeilge Amachrí. I will have that linked in the description to help you find it. That is the 4 requirements. The giveaway will end on Friday the 28th of August at 12 p.m. Irish time. So get entering. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did.
And if you want to enter the giveaway.
Thank you to all of my wonderful patrons. I will have their names on the screen. I have been meeting up with my patrons like every 2 weeks for a video chat where we all practice just a little bit of Irish, just very basic things, but we're just practicing pronunciation, and so far everybody who's attended is really enjoying it, and I am really enjoying it. So if that's something you're interested in, then I will have the link in the description to my Patreon. It's only €5 a month. €5, cheaper than Netflix, and you can practice your Irish and get early access to my YouTube videos. It would mean the world if you want to support me on there. Thank you so much for watching. Gora maigat agus slán leat. Get it. Oh my god, my eyes. More. God. So first, which I definitely still get a bit confused about shave. Oh my god, my throat. I definitely still get a bit confused